Alright, it's time to texture the cassette player. Now I've done a little bit of work on this, I guess I'll show you. I've got some text on here and I've got a little black piece. I'll show you that in a bit. I've removed the piece that I had here and I removed those two buttons. And I added this piece here. I just basically copied this area and expanded it a little bit. And I'll show you that in a little while. And I've got some glass on here. I'll show you that. But I'm going to move on to texturing this now. First thing I have to do is UV unwrap this, but it's going to be easy just based on the fact that it's a hard surface and it's pretty regular and it's very boxy. Alright, so let's just select this and slash key and focus on it and go UV editing and slash key and just focus on this thing here. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off all the modifiers on everything that I need to UV unwrap. I just find that works better, or apply them, but I'm just going to turn them off. I'll turn them back on when we texture them. So that, I think those are the main things. I'm going to hide the piece of glass. This stuff I'm just going to do in Blender because you're not going to see it very well, so I'll talk about that later. So I got this piece, and I've got these pieces, and I've got this, and I've got that, and I've got that. Okay, so let's go ahead and do it this way. I'm going to select the main body here, and I'm going to select this piece. I'm going to select the button. I'm holding on Shift, this, and this, and this, and I think that's it. And I'll probably do these just in Blender as well. So I'm going to go into Edit Mode and A to select them all. And just ignore all this stuff. And I'm going to press U, and I'm going to use Cube Projection. Okay, and then I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to do Average Island Scale. And then I use Pack Master 3 to pack, but you could just pack it with here, Pack Island. So I'm going to try this and see how well it does. I'm going to try it again. I just want to get everything selected and packed. And that is what my UVs end up looking like. Those are the things that I want to unwrap. I'll do those just with black, and like I said, I'll do the other stuff in Blender. And yeah, so with that done, I'm going to save that as an FBX and export it to Substance Painter. Here it is in Substance Painter. So the first thing I need to do is to bake the mesh maps. So I'll do that at 2K. All right, so there it is with the mesh maps baked. Now I'm going to be working with my textures at 1024. But then when I go to put some detail, or after I put the detail, I'm going to be bringing that up to 2K, maybe 4K. We will see. Okay. I'm going to call this cassette player material. Let me get rid of this layer. And in materials, I'm going to search for plastic. I'm going to use this plastic matte. It'll come in as blue, but I'm going to change the color to an orangey yellow color. I could adjust this in Blender a little bit. So let's start with something like that. So I'm going to have that, and I'm going to duplicate that. And this one underneath, I'm going to change to a black, or almost black. So this one I'm just going to call black. And this one I'm just going to call orange. And I'm going to put on a black mask on this one. I'm going to come over here to my polygon fill and switch to mesh fill and choose the top. I want that in orange. And it's just debatable what I want to do underneath here. I think I'm going to switch here. And underneath these, I'm going to press X and select this stuff. X, I'll go back. You see that changing there. So I think I'm going to have that in black. I'm just not sure about this region underneath here. So I'll try this in black. I'll press X, do that. But then I have to come around underneath here. By doing it all together this way, I have to do it like this. So I'm going to get these. Just want to make sure I don't get anything else. And while I'm here, maybe I'll make this part here like that, black. Press the brush to come out of there. Now, I don't want this too dirty or anything. I want it relatively clean. Oh, I just, yeah, the sides of this. It's gonna be hard to get into there. Let's see how well I could do it, if I even really wanted to do it. That part's pretty easy. Maybe it's not hard at all. I'm not sure I want it up to this point, so we'll check it out in Blender. Or sooner. I might decide now I don't like it. Okay. Alright, let's go on with what I want to do. So I'm going to switch to orthographic, and I want to put something on here. So I'm going to create a regular paint layer, and I'm going to go for, I think, just height, and I'll see if I want it up or down. I'm not sure yet. I'm going to go to alphas, and I'm going to type in circle, and I'm going to choose this one here. I think I'm going to go for that. Yeah. Okay. So, right about there. And that would be arrayed on all of them, sort of, sort of a tactile type thing. And inside here, I'm going to do something else. So this is going to be, I'll just call this indent. Okay, I'll go ahead and do what I was going to do. I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to call this emissive. 2 S's, whatever. And I'm going to come to the shader. I'll bring up the emission intensity. And I have to add that here. I don't have emissive in my channel, so I'm going to add an emissive channel. And on the emissive layer, I'm just going to alt-click that. And I'm going to change the color to a, I think I'm going to go for a greenish kind of color like that. And I'm going to choose this circle, this squeeze one, and squeeze it all the way up, and hardness all the way up. And resize this, and just click right down there. Okay. And I'll come to the display settings, scroll down to post effects, and turn on glare. And I'm going to switch this to, turn on glare. Inside glare, I'm going to change this to bloom. Maybe bring the luminance down a bit. And again, this is what I was talking about earlier. If I switch this to 2K, you see, I get a bigger resolution, but you know, I don't necessarily want to work at that. All right, so I've got that. And I'm going to debate if I want to put on symmetry and on a new layer, and just do, let's see, color and height. Maybe black, and maybe just a little bit down, and try one of these bolts. I'll go on the other side. I can put them in and then decide if I like them or not. I was just going to do that for something. Again, it's going to be dark in the image, you're not going to see it very well. And then again for these, remember, if it's looking blurry, okay, up your resolution. For right now, I'm okay with that. I'll call these bolts. And let's do just a little bit of dirt or dust. So new fill layer, black mask. Maybe I'll try, let's see, new dirt's gonna go nuts. Let's see if I bring it way down. Sometimes I get just a little bit around the edges, a little bit on the button, and it looks okay. Okay, so this is, I'll call this dust. Let's do one more, just regular paint layer. And do, let's see. Yeah, color and height. And we'll change that to almost a white color, because we'll do it on the black here. And in my alphas here, I'm going to search for font, and I'm going to try this font. And I'm going to change the text to like something like acoustics or something. I'm sure that's already used. And try something here. Now this is an area where, you know, if you're doing text, you want a lot of textile density. And again, you can bring your texture resolution up. So see, that's a lot better. When I export it, I'm going to do that, have it there. In fact, that's a good start. And that might be all I want to do for this object with the other textures or materials from Blender. So let's go ahead and save the model, and then we'll look at exporting. I'm going to go to this PBR metallic roughness that I've got set up because I've got an emissive channel in there. And I'm going to need that. I don't need opacity. So that's what I'm going to use, PBR metallic roughness. So I'm going to switch this to PBR metallic roughness. Choose my location. All right, and there are the textures, including the emissive. So now back in Blender, in the shading tab, we'll just focus on this and save it. I'm going to create the new material. I'm going to call this cassette player. Actually, cassette player. Yeah, good enough. Shift Control T. Select these. This I'm going to use separately. A different setup for that. So all these things that are going to have the cassette player material on them. Okay. And then I'm going to start bringing back the modifiers on these. There's a little bit more to do. Just see if I can make sure I get all of them. Think about those. Okay, now back to this stuff here. Let's come back here and do it here. Okay. This piece here, I'm going to have just a black material on. There it is. As you can see, I've got this this black piece here, and I've got some text that I created in it, just in a graphics program. Talk about the glass in a bit. These I want to have black, and I'm not going to have these black completely, but I'm just going to throw that on. In fact, maybe I'll come back in here right this minute and turn that off for the moment. Grab this and Control Plus and just put on a metal material that I've got in Blender as well. Turn that back on. Come over here, I'll do a plus, and we'll choose cassette. No, not chair. Cassette metal. I guess it's cassette reels. And I'm just going to do that, I think, for the moment. Okay, but there's more I want to do on these buttons here. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to drag this out, and I want that emission material, emissive. So to do that, I'm going to use a, let me just think here, is it a mix shader? No, I'm going to use an add shader, and I'm going to use an emission and a texture, image texture, to load that emissive map. So I'm going to do that. Emissive. I'm going to plug this in here. I'm going to set this to about 15 for now. Plug this in here. The emission is on now. Let me just make sure that's what we have. Now, consider changing this to a red color for the record button. But I'm not sure if I want to do that. And I may be getting rid of this or just putting on the black material, just leaving it like that. Okay, now do I have any lights? So let me talk to you a little bit about the glass first of all. Here's what I've done. I got a principal BSDF going into a mix shader and a transparent on here to help the transparency with a color. I've adjusted the level that I like. I can show you. I can play with that. And I've put on a grunge texture, all right, that I got from the internet. You can experiment with different ones. I've just got it in the object, and it goes into a color ramp, into the base color. And that has given me this. All right, now if I focus on that and come over here, you know, I could change the color of the glass if I want a little bit. I can adjust the transparency so you can really see the grunge, a little bit less of the grunge. I can play with this a little bit and you can see the effect. Okay, I don't want this too dirty because the cassette itself is not too dirty. But that's basically what I've got. I'm going to take this glass and I'm going to hide it, and you will see underneath I made a change to the reels. All I did, not that part, but this, is I took the center sort of ring of polys and I extruded them up to have this raised region. That's really all I did. All right, it's because I just thought it looked a little bit better. This is a very basic metal material. There's no noise or anything. Same ones I've used back there. And for the tapes, I've just made them a brown color. And that is it. So we'll bring the glass back so you can see something through there. So this is what I get with that little bit of dust on there and with the bullets and everything. The only thing is the bullets look like they're projecting out a little bit. So I'm going to need to work on that. And I'm going to do the manual fix for this. So Control Plus. Bring this up. So I'm going to grab all of this stuff and move it over a bit, and this one, move that, and I'm going to zoom in here and I'm going to disconnect the normal because I didn't export in OpenGL. I'm going to separate RGB and I'm going to combine RGB, and then I'm going to have a color invert node in there, and that's only going to be for the green. I've done this a bunch of times and probably should make sure I'm using the right template as I should. So that oh, don't forget to connect the red to the red and the blue to the blue, and the green goes through the invert. And give it a second, and now those should project inward properly. They should, but again, it depends on the light. It's all a trick of the light and the style of the alpha you're using. All right. There's my cassette player. It's not necessarily the size that I'm going to use, but that is what she looks like, along with the coffee cup beside it. Okay, so you know, it's going to be rather dim in this room, so you're not going to see it too well. And I may decide to change the colors of these. Oh yeah, and there is one more thing I wanted to show you. I take it back, and that was I may decide to throw in a hue saturation on here, and then change this to something like a 0.2 Let's try 0.49. That's a bit more orange. So, you know, I can change, you know, whatever if I want to have something like that. You can, so I can do some color changes in Blender, is all I'm getting at. All right. That is it for the time being, and it's going to be time to move on to some other stuff, if unless there's something that I have forgotten for this or want to change. Okay, so cool. Thanks for watching. Hope that's useful to you, more interesting. See you next time.